Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Star Citizen Racing Podcast, the best place to stay up to date on all the latest news and info in the Star Citizen Racing community. My name is Jacadin, and joining me in bringing you this podcast are Dirk from Sanguis Luna and Bill Boyer from Black Star Racing. Dirk, how about you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey guys, I'm Dirk. I am the captain of the Sanguis Luna racing team. I've been, aka the Run Runners, I've been in Star Citizen Racing for probably over 2 years now. Got into it when a friend of mine scuttled, got me to start doing a race for the first time, and I've been absolutely hooked ever since. It's been a pleasure to run a team and get into this community and meet all the interesting people.
Yeah, sweet. Bill Boy.
Yeah, I'm Bill Boy. I started I'm the leader of the Black Star Racing team, and I got into Star Citizen maybe 2019. Got into it, or got into racing then later when I found the Snake Pit racetrack, and just thought it was really cool. So I tried to figure out where to go farther with this, and I found XGR, and rest is history.
Awesome. Well, in the Star Citizen community, these two need absolutely no introduction, but for those who don't know, that's who they are. So this podcast is brought in collaboration with SCR.gg. It's the center for all of the racing events and the time trial leaderboards within Star Citizen. So if you really want to get into Star Citizen racing, that is the best place to start. So CitizenCon is not too far gone. I think that the hype has
Right.
started to kind of calm down recently, but looking back at CitizenCon, is there anything that hyped you guys up personally?
Yeah, I mean, the base building is really exciting. I think that's obvious for like just about everyone that watched it. It's going to completely change the game. That as well as the number of systems they've announced that they're going to try to get out there. I mean, if they can get as many as they say by 1.0, it's going to be a very, very different universe than the one we're playing in right now. So I think those two things, and of course, I mean, we're racers. We love the G suits. We love that whenever they show us cool stuff
Okay.
like that. But yeah, I thought it was probably one of the best Citizen Cons so far.
All right,
Yeah,
nice.
yeah. The one thing that I got just really jumped out at me before I started racing, I was super into industrial gameplay and stuff, and uh, yeah, with base building and crafting and stuff, got me excited to maybe one day have a nice little shop that does the top end modified racing ships and sell it to all my friends in the community.
Yeah, and that obviously that's gonna be even more important when all the crafting stuff comes out because everything's gonna have different tiers now, right? So um, probably different levels of ships will have different stats, and the higher the tiers you go, the more you can tweak. I don't know exactly how that's gonna happen. Do you guys have any predictions on what the crafting system might how that might affect the racing?
Yeah, I mean, almost immediately after you're talking in the racing community, like, oh my goodness, you're gonna have segmented classes now about the highest tiered ship versus the most base tier. Because one of the great things about racing right now is it doesn't matter what, like, everyone uses the same ship. There's no advantages at all. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how organizers react and how they decide to rank that, or time trials. Like, is there gonna be a separate category for base ship time trials, or just straight up best time trial? Because then you're gonna need an organization or something backing you, getting you that tier 5 top component, S tier component ship in order to compete on the top level of time trials.
And I think it's gonna be really don't really know until we know how difficult it's going to be to actually get these components too. Because if they end up being taking a lot of time, I mean, racers don't have a lot of money. Not a lot of us are actually out there grinding industrial
Yeah.
gameplay loops.
Oh
So
yeah.
now we're gonna have to find somebody to get these things for us, or yeah, depending on how hard they are to get. So yeah,
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see
definitely.
how it all comes together once we actually get those things in the game.
And obviously, you're right. Not everybody has the time to grind up the money to, or the resources to craft all the ships themselves. So orgs are gonna be even bigger. And speaking of orgs, decals, we're gonna be able to make our racing
Oh
ships
yeah.
represent our teams. That's super excited. Um, but also, you were mentioning about the different levels of tiers in the leaderboards. The G suits might also play a role there, because if the G suits are gonna make a difference with how much G's you can take, might make a difference in how much you can push, right? And if there's gonna be
Yeah.
tiers on those G suits, then it's gonna really
Oh,
shake things up.
you're gonna need to grind everything, man. It's yeah. It's gonna be hard because like, how does SCR.GG, when our great collaborator here, but how do they like police that? Right now, you just have to display info one, and you get all the details you need to confirm a time trial. Like, are you? I don't know. There's a good chance they're just gonna have to say straight up, yeah, you do the best time, you get the top spot on the leaderboard, and you better have the best ship that you can possibly get to get that spot.
Oh yeah, the min-maxing game is definitely gonna be strong when all of that comes out. So I hope it doesn't make that much of a difference, but at the same time, it has to make enough of a difference to make it worth grinding it all the way up to tier 5. So it will be interesting to see. Obviously, there is also the case of insurance. So if you have the insurance and the warranty and you break a tier 5 ship, do you insure a tier 5, or do you get the money, and have to start all over from tier 1, So
Yeah.
Oh,
And
lots of
one of
questions
my
there.
one of my hopes for it too is that it's not completely just you go and get your component and just make it the best you can, and it's going to be good no matter what. I'm hoping there's a bit of you pick some pluses and some minuses, so the certain ways that you can set up your ship with those different components will be good for time trials, while another might be better for a longer race or even endurance racing with some of the races we do. I think that'll be a big part of it.
yeah, they showed like, I mean, during that crafting section, they showed like the list of stats that even like a pistol can have changed. It was like ridiculous. You remember that? There was like 10 or 15 little
Yeah, like
stats that each individual one can be tweaked plus or minus numbers. So if thrusters end up being a component in that, or the weight of components, because we know, I mean, this isn't broadly known in the Star Citizen community, but it's well known in racing that the components have a weight, and taking them off makes you faster, and stripping your ship makes you faster. So if you're trying to even get the lightest weight component, there could be an infinite number of possibilities of people's crafting skills to make their ships differently. So I mean, yeah, it's gonna be crazy. I'm really interested to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, right, when they were showing the crafting, like the pistols, you can change the fire rate, you can change the recoil. I'm not sure if it was the pattern or just the recoil strength, but yeah, it's just the ships. I don't know if they're gonna be, when you build the ship, you get random stat allocations, so there'll be an element of RNG, or you can actually, manually tweak these changes. And I don't know how much the components actually affect that, right? Because at the moment, there isn't really much of a difference between, a grade D competition power plant and a grade A competition power plant. Okay, you get more power units, but we stripped the ship, so we don't need shields, we don't need weapons. We have
Need it.
all the power in the world goes to the engine. So how
Yeah,
how's
right now
that
just a
gonna?
lot of those a lot of the different aspects of like different components just don't do much for us at all. The ships just kind of work the way they work, and all we do is remove as many components as we can, and as long as the ship will continue working. So
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be interesting if all of a sudden they
racing
make
shields
those.
win, right? Right.
Yeah,
We want
racing
racing
Yeah,
shields,
shields
exactly,
guys.
when
exactly.
death of a spaceship. You're just gonna see now going forward, just people who are really, diehard racers, just do nothing but craft racing ships as they crash over and over and over again when they're practicing. So
I guess another thing to go along with that is the way that the blueprints are actually going to be collected. It sounds
right.
like some of them are going to come along with reputation with the guilds and stuff
Mm-hmm.
that they talked about as well. So that'll be another interesting aspect to it. Is will it be easy for orgs that don't do racing to get the blueprints for those racing competition components without having someone who's really done a lot of grinding to get that rep, or will the rep be easy enough to get that they can get those top tier components easily?
Yeah, that also could open up to the possibility of a player-driven economy in the racing scene as well, right? You get this guy who's constantly, who's grinded out the rep, who's grinded out the blueprints, and then he just decides, okay, I'm gonna take a break from racing and just focus on crafting, and then just makes up a market of tier 5 racing ships all over the place, right?
Yeah, I mean,
So
it could just get orgs to want one of these guys to come in and
yeah,
be like, "Hey, can you just can you throw your blueprint in our machine here so we can start pumping stuff out, and we'll go ahead and give you everything you want for free, but then we get to sell anything else that we've used your blueprint for or something like that." Could be really interesting.
Yeah.
Racers, find your sponsor org. You're gonna need it at one point.
Oh yeah.
It's gonna be a thing.
Yeah, but that's also interesting when you talked about the guilds, right? Because they did mention that there's going to be a sports guild. Um, However, within that sports guild, it's actually split into other different sections. So you're going to have like the Grand Prix racing, you have the Murray Cup racing, you have death racing or stuff
Salvage
like that.
racing.
Yeah, they did say like cargo
They had
running
some weird
racing or
ones.
yeah, they had some really weird ones. And parkour, we're gonna have parkour. I mean, at the moment we can't
Yeah.
even climb onto one SCU box, so I don't know what kind of parkour racing we're gonna have, but yeah,
Yeah, I
that's
always
in
find
there.
it funny on those slides. It's like they'll have, and you see it. I mean, year over year, these slides will always have a lot of different things in it, and not nearly all of it gets actually implemented. So a lot of these things, they're good ideas to have and to build on and to find what they're gonna do. But I mean, like one of them. I mean, you guys have seen it. The race fixing was under
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
the criminal part, and it's like I don't. At least in the current state of things, you can't do that. I don't see a way that you're gonna set that up. Like, there's only a handful of pilots that have the
Yeah,
control of
unless
fixing
there's
a
like
race.
NPC races out there or something, which would be cool, but
Yes,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all very exciting, but all very speculative at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah.
um
I think the last main thing we haven't talked about from SitCon that direct, or no, I guess during you mentioned G suits a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a weird one though because it's very based on the current tuning of the ships and how G'ing out works. Because like,
mhm.
I mean, right now, not too many racetracks are people G'ing out. At least not super easily.
Yeah.
There's been patches where
Yeah.
almost every single turn, if you're not careful, you can G out. Well, right now it's
Skyscraper.
Yeah. I was
yeah,
gonna
Skyscraper
say.
yeah,
still
that's
G's out
true.
right now.
That one
I,
still
I
has.
think what the G suits will do, less give the top pilots a further of an edge, more bring the pilots further down up, because there
Raise
is
the
a
floor, right?
skill. Right, it'll raise the floor because there's a
Yeah,
skill
yeah,
required to bleed G's. I mean, we're practicing right now. We'll talk about it later, but the division race, how often have I had to tell people I'm teaching for this race, in this turn you have to bleed your G's and make sure you're getting TVI on crosshair, otherwise you're gonna black out in the next turn over. But once you figure out how to bleed G's, then it's no longer a problem. It's just that's a skill you have
true.
to
That's
learn.
true. Nice.
Um yeah, another thing that I personally got really excited for actually in CitizenCon is the Genesis stuff, right? So all the new
Oh
planet tech and
yeah,
stuff, but more specifically, if we're gonna just focus on the racing stuff, because you know the jungles and swamps and all of that stuff, super cool. But the dynamic weather, dude. That when I saw the
Mhm.
dynamic weather, when I saw that Zeus and the Aurora going through the rain, getting moved around, and then just saw the Aurora getting struck by lightning, I was like, I can't wait to tilt at getting struck by lightning during an endurance race, man. I can't wait for that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
and speaking of endurance racing, we didn't mention as well. Once we have those components in, it's going to allow for people to actually swap out those components mid race and have pit stops and
Actual pit
make
stops.
make yeah make the gameplay
Yeah.
a lot more convoluted, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if this counts as CitizenCon, but guys, we got our hands on the Polaris. We've got our fucking, or sorry, our racing base. We've got I've already been talking about it with the Oregon. Like, we got to fill one of these things up with razors and and go set
the
up four
big
respawn
hanger.
beds. Four respawn beds. That's crazy.
And how much actually can the Polaris hold? Like this was it like 20 razors or something like that? It was
Yeah,
crazy,
if you
right?
get creative with it, you can get creative and tight with it, and you can fill just the top hold. I think holds a dozen or
Yeah,
something like that, and you can fit a bunch in the cargo bay if you're careful with
yeah.
it. So
That could be really big for Pyro being able to carry a bunch of ships to test out,
yeah, go
making new
practice
tracks and
tracks.
stuff
Yeah,
like that. Yeah,
yeah.
because
Oh yeah. Oh
I'm not
man.
sure how easy it'll be to claim new ships in Pyro because things seem like they're a lot farther apart.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think when I was speaking to some of the people who are actually in Evo, they said like some jumps actually take like 10 minutes to cross. Just crazy how much bigger Pyro actually is to Stanton. Because I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the longest jump you can make in Stanton is about 8 minutes. I think. Well,
Yeah, it depends on your
depends on your quantum
Quantity,
drive,
yeah.
driving
of
around.
course,
But
of
If
yeah,
you
course.
have a
But
crappy drive, yeah.
yeah, but you know,
yeah.
a 10-minute jump is crazy. I think at some
Sorry for
point,
the hot one.
I'm sorry. I think at some point, CIG really need to start putting in those sim pods into the game, like to get Arena
Oh yeah,
Commander into the sim
yeah.
pod and just
Yeah,
chuck
yeah.
it on our ship and okay, I'll have a 10-minute
Yeah.
quantum jump, but at least I can do something, you know?
Well, I mean, my work. I was talking to them. I was like, I'm down to like sit and wait when you're trying to like do something or find or catch something and do something fun. Um, but when I have the sim pods, I can then sit in the Polaris and just sit in the sim pod, and I'm a pilot available. And as soon as stuff starts going down, you just go, Dirk, get out of here, hop in the Fury, and come fight someone, right? Like but you can just sit and wait in the sim pod forever.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
I think for CitizenCon stuff, we can touch a bit more on base building, right? And the potential of making more tracks based around our bases. I know
Yep.
they at some point or another they said they would like to work on roads, which will help the ground racing scene, but I don't think that's going to be something that they work on the first iteration of base building. Um, but having bases nearby would just make more community races available to us because at the
Yeah.
moment,
No, I think
go ahead.
I think that'd be an important step for, especially in Pyro, with the way that that's gonna. A lot of the tracks that we make are based around actual architecture, like buildings and stuff, and those always give them the best visuals of any of the racetracks. It's a lot harder to find a natural landscape that makes a really really good racetrack. There are some out there, but they're not as easy. So being able to actually build that yourself will be a huge advantage. Being able to make a really iconic looking racetrack once you're in places like Pyro, where there's not going to be nearly as many buildings that are the size that we need to actually race around.
Like ground racing for sure. Ground racing has a lack of good areas to make tracks because of how bouncy the physics are. So you're generally stuck on with especially with hover vehicles like hover bikes, you're generally stuck on really flat terrain. But if you could find a really nice looking flat area with like, oh, there's a cool one little hop jump over there, you could start setting up buildings around it and actually have some ground tracks that would be more consistent and fun to race on with and make your own turns, right? Like that'd be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I know for a fact that like in Pyro, there's a lot of water present, so I'm pretty sure there's gonna be a lot of grav racing happening around the water because I think it's like the safest place
Yeah,
to
yeah,
race with grav bikes, right? Just flat, and you're not gonna risk bumping into a rock at any time, just blowing up.
yep.
Yeah, Clio Hazard Islands, probably one of the best
Oh yeah,
hover bike tracks.
I think it's the most popular grav racing track
Mostly
in
because it's the
AC
least
as well too.
frustrating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely the least
it's
frustrating. There's
frustrating.
no way you're gonna go up to
Yeah,
the moon with that.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
um,
I think that's most of the CitizenCon stuff, but I guess after CitizenCon, we had an event that
Yeah,
one of
that's
us
right.
probably was one of their highlights
Oh
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
of
The
the whole
Enter-Atmosphere,
day.
yeah. For those who don't
Yeah,
know, the Enter-Atmosphere 2954 was the first ship racing, and well, actually, it is the esports event that is hosted by Atmo Esports, and this year was the first time that they made a live ship racing competition. So we've had, I think, the only other live, if you can call it live ship racing competition that we have was the Insomnia Racing, which
have they done it twice or just the one time?
I
Did
think
they
it
do
was
it for two
twice.
insomnias now?
They've
Yeah,
definitely done two, but obviously this is a much larger scale, having come straight after CitizenCon. Devs came by, um, a lot.
Top pilots were invited and
Oh yeah,
stuff because
yeah. Like at Insomnia, the pilots there, they're good, they're skilled, but they're when inside the racing community themselves, they're not like the top of the time trials and stuff like that. I mean, Semper Prime was there, who's a great pilot.
oh yeah.
But at Enter Atmosphere, they invited all of they went through the list of pilots that were available. They asked around in the community, and then they invited those that had the top points on SCR itself. That's what they used to rank it, or just reputation in the community for being really fast. And I think they found probably the best pilots that were going to the event to go do it. And it was a great spectacle. It was so much fun watching it. It was awesome.
No, it was incredible, and I don't want to toot my own horn, but I am one of those racers who were invited. For those who don't know,
That's right.
um, and I can tell you it was an insane experience. I mean, I don't think I've ever
Yeah.
done anything like that before in my life. And I've been in the racing community for a year now, and I've joined as many of the racing events as I possibly could. Um, every single time that I jump into a race, I get that kind of anxiety before the race even begins, and like, what's gonna happen? I don't know. Am I gonna crash in turn
Yep.
one and stuff like that? But when you go up on stage, you're looking just slightly left, and you just see hundreds of people there in front of you. That anxiety just turns like, oh crap! Now,
Oh,
not
that's
only do I have to
awesome.
race well, I have to make sure that I put on a good show. I need to try and
That's so
win.
exciting.
So much things
Yeah.
going through your head, but it was a surreal experience. And yeah, as you
Yeah.
said, I don't think they picked some really, really, really good pilots out there. And obviously, props to Playing Fox for winning that thing. He was super, super consistent.
Congrats to Black Star Racing.
Yeah,
That was
congrats to Black Star Racing,
Billboy's
Playing
guy.
Fox.
Well done. And hey, Sanguis Luna had a great showing too, Jacketin,
Oh yeah,
because
yeah,
you came
yeah.
second. You kicked ass. You did
Yeah.
incredible. We managed to get an inside look at the points afterwards, and Jacketin going into the final 3 races. Actually, I think went into the very last race.
Yeah.
Jacketin was sitting in the first place by a decent margin.
Hmm.
You did. You did choke it. It's
Yeah, I choked
okay.
it. I choked
It's
it. I choked
okay.
it. That last race, I don't know what happened to me. I choked. Yeah, because
It was an unpracticed track for you. I mean, we talked about it. We did a lot. I don't know, Billboy, if you guys did with Playing Fox, but we did a lot of practicing with Sanguis Luna for Jacketin and had all of our guys trying to get good lines and practicing with him. Because it was a different type of event where there was a lot of different ships, a lot of different track combinations. So if anyone doesn't know, most of the time in racing events, it's usually 1, maybe 2 ships on 1, maybe 2 or 3 tracks. I don't even like the multiple tracks is uncommon, multiple ships is uncommon. Most often is 1 ship, 1 track. So when you're practicing for it, you're practicing a pretty specific ship track combo, and you can get really good at that and really consistent. It takes another tier of skill of a pilot to get good at 9 different tracks in 8 different ships,
back
and
to
one of
back
them
to
even being
back.
in 0G, back to back. There's no time to practice in
Yeah,
between.
there's no
Yeah, what
gaps.
did you, Billboy? What did you guys do to prepare for Playing Fox for that one? Because he kicked ass. He was the most consistent. Playing Fox, if anyone doesn't know, has a history of crashing out in big moments. He's very
Oh
fast and
man,
he's
you
very
call him out like
consistent.
that.
I love Playing Fox. He's very
No,
fast. He's
no,
very
he's awesome.
consistent, and I think this Enter Atmosphere event he did so well and was so consistent that yeah, I think he like even stepped up his game for this event and did a great job. What did you guys do to practice and prepare for it?
Yeah, I mean, I did a little bit of racing with him, I think, but he kind of just did his own thing. I mean, that's he's recently, especially, he's been a bit of a lone wolf. Just kind of, I think he's just been really busy. But amazing, found the time somewhere to practice a lot because yeah, I mean, to be able to compete at that level with that many different ships, like you were saying, just takes a lot more time to prepare for something like that. I mean, you can go and get pretty competent with 1 ship on 1 track and in like maybe a week of practicing a couple hours a night, but to get to that level on that many tracks, that many ships is just incredible. And yeah, I think he did a lot of practicing by himself. I think he practiced. It sounds like that whole group of guys who were at that event practiced together a little bit as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of worked together to try and get everyone to be the best they could be for that event.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, in the beginning, when we were first invited, we were called out to do a practice session, with the Atmo guys, and the first event was all over the place. I mean, we had people running their own lines, crashing into each other all the time, and it was kind of a mess. It kind of really scared a lot of us, saying if this is the kind of show that we're going to pull off to these people. I mean, this is not going to be a show. This is going to be just a murder
Yeah.
fest. So we kind of all got together and started talking about the different lines that we'd like to take, but at the same time, we also really made it a point that we want to keep open communication with each other and just made sure that we give each other the space because at the end of the day we want to race. And then even more when they introduced the penalty system for each of the crashes, it made it even more important that we couldn't just stick to the time trial line, tunnel vision our way throughout the 3 laps or whatever, and just whatever happens. We had to play fair, play safe, and yeah, it was fantastic. And building up on what you guys said with Playing Fox in the beginning, it was, it's not just Playing Fox. I'm not pointing fingers here, but it was very similar to the reputation. Like, take the time trial line. If you crash, oops, carry on. But a lot of people were doing
Yeah.
that. Not pointing fingers at Playing Fox, but it does show the progression that he made because he was also, I think, one of the few people, or one of the people who crashed the fewest, or the least, from
I
all
think
of us.
he got a lot of second and third place finishes in
Yeah,
there. I think.
and
But yeah, I don't. Did he even? Did he win one? He did win the last one, right? He won
So
Yadar,
Tint
but I
won
don't know if he
4.
won any of
Yeah.
the other ones. He was just super consistent the whole way.
Yeah. Tint won 4. I won 3. Playing Fox won 2.
Oh, he won 2.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yeah,
the
yeah.
9
So
Yeah, then,
tracks. Go ahead, Billboy.
oh yeah, but it's I think then like Tint, and then yeah, you had that one race that was a little rougher. When you guys had a rough race, where you made a couple mistakes, it really hurt you guys, which is, I mean,
oh,
that's
it
just
blows
racing.
every
That's how
I
it
got
point.
goes. Yeah.
I got 2 fourth place finishes. And that's where those 3 or 4 points
Mm.
different. I think at the
Yeah.
end of the by the end of the tournament, the difference between playing Fox and me was about 4 or 5 points. So those
Yeah.
He
fourth
did have to
That's
make
places.
tight.
so many points in the last race,
Yeah,
though.
in the last
He did
race, I
make
was ahead by like
yeah,
10 points. So all I needed to
yeah.
do was finish third with maximum 2 crashes, and I finished fourth with 3 crashes. So
Did you know
Yeah.
that? Did you know that going in?
no,
That that's what
no
you had to
idea.
do? Okay.
I
I
didn't
was gonna
even know
say
I was in
if you
second place. Like I didn't even know I finished second. I thought I was like
okay.
way behind because
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard when you're not, which is something which we do sometimes is have like a race engineer mid-race to be in your ear. But when you're at a live event like that, you can't have someone giving you updates on positions. You just
oh, yeah.
have to like guess.
To be honest,
Did you
like
have a favorite? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like going into the last race, I thought like playing Fox was like way ahead at that point, and I was telling him congratulations on the win playing Fox. But when we entered Miner's Lament, I was like, this is definitely your win, you know. Like I'm just want to make a good. I just want to perform well for the rest of the races, but playing Fox definitely took this thing. And then when I went out, Steve CC came up to me and he said, like, you know how close that was. You were so ahead going into the last race, and like somehow. Yeah, because the difference between third and fourth place was like 5 points. So again, have had I finished third, I probably would have tied with him, and then we would have went for like a sudden death kind of thing. Um,
Oh man, that would have been sick.
yeah,
That would have been awesome.
That would have been the most hype. Oh,
yeah.
damn. We were
I
robbed.
messed up too
Is it
hard on the
the
last
Victory.
race.
That's okay. That's
it's
good.
the
Did you have a
1v1
favorite,
first
like,
racer to die
yeah,
losing.
it would have been great. Did you have a favorite track and ship combo of them all, Jacketed, out of the ones you guys did?
um, it's hard to say, to be honest, and I think this is the one where it hurts the most. From the ones that they gave us, the track that I felt the most confident in, and it felt so good to me, was Kaplan Stadium in the Aero. It felt so good, and honestly, throughout all the practices, it's the track that I was consistently doing fast times, fast laps, and can overtake safely and stuff like that. It was really awesome, but unfortunately, I had to stick it to myself in that event, and I made a mistake at the end of the slalom on the first lap, and the guys ahead made zero mistakes, so I caught up to them by the end. To be completely honest, like
Yeah.
when we came to cross the second lap, I was just a few hundred meters behind Speedweed at third place, which again he was also just a few hundred meters behind Tintin Plague Fox. So we were I managed to catch up to them, but had I had an extra lap, who knows what would have happened? But I made the mistake in the beginning, and it cost me.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, but I think
Editor, cut in the clip of of Jacketed blowing up. Dude, and the commentary, I have to mention the commentary
oh
was
yeah,
incredible. Was it Cyberfox and
Cyberfox
Conti?
stepped
Cyberfox
up
and
huge.
Croncy,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, they were incredible. They did a great job. Cyberfox was so hype. And I'm watching this, and Jacketed is a Sanguis Luna racer, so I'm watching it, cheering him on the whole time. And I'm not kidding you. I'm pacing around my living room, like talking on Discord with the other guys in Sanguis Luna while we're watching this live, and we were getting so excited. Oh man, it was a great event. And the analysis desk from Steve, I think we need to bring this back for like every event. There needs to be an analysis desk because that's one of my pet peeves with broadcasts is when there's not quite as much knowledge at the desk, so you're thinking like, oh, why aren't they talking about this? Like this is happening in the event, or this is what's really important right now. And the analysis was able to pick up on all the little details. It was really cool.
Yeah, and if you're not really deep in the community and you don't really know
Yeah,
all the details and how races are, what they're doing, why they're doing it, what's difficult, what's not, having someone there to just explain it is really useful because it's kind of confusing sometimes when you're just hopping into a broadcast and trying to follow along. So yeah, that'd be a good thing to get implemented in future broadcasts.
definitely. One of the things that was mentioned a lot when I was talking to some of the people in the crowd, or to people who were watching the stream from home, is that they really enjoyed the analyst desk because they can get like a look back at what just happened, because we were kind of speeding through race after race after race. We were doing 3 races and then a break for the analysis, another 3 races. But within those 3 races, we just, as soon as we crossed the finish line, back to menu, prepare the next lobby, go and go. It was very, there was no breaks. So having that analysis desk to just slow things down for a few minutes to go through what happened in those races was very beneficial to whoever's watching. So
Yeah, yeah, it was an exciting event, and I feel like it's a good step in the right direction for the racing community if we can get more stuff like that happening and
Yeah.
more of those big names coming together to really try to play to their strengths. Some groups do things better than others, and I think that was a good combination. We had XGR combining their strengths with Atmo, who are great at putting on those huge high stakes events, and it really came together nicely. And I think it'll hopefully keep getting better as we get more collaborations like that.
definitely.
Live updates via DM by Second Saber, one of Billboy's teammates, and he was so excited about the whole thing. He was like, "Oh, dude, you should have been." Blah, blah. He was having a great time. So I think everyone in the crowd had a great time. In that, so at that event, you guys were working off of a different patch. Was it 323 that you guys were still on,
No,
or
we
24.1?
because
24.1, yeah, because there's a
24.2
difference in
had
the flight model,
just
right?
yeah 24.2 had been released on the weekend of CitCon, but we were there
Yeah.
from a few days before. So if they were to have given us the 24.2 patch, we had zero opportunity to practice. So yeah, they gave us a private patch, I guess, for that event
Yeah.
with the 24.1 build, and yeah.
I mean,
Honestly, when I came back, I did feel the difference in the flight model. They said they didn't make any tweaks, but I do certainly feel something different right now.
that's
I
good.
I mean, we've experienced this. I mean, we talked about this even right before the meta and the model changes every single patch, like by a ridiculous amount. You
It's
can
always a
never,
ghost patch. They never tell you what they did. They just do it.
yeah, there's no changes, and we're getting
Yeah.
on, and I'm like, I'm 5 seconds slower on Lorville and Icebreaker, and I'm faster in 0G. Guys, what did they change? And then there's Anzia, who does a great job testing, and everyone in XGR, everyone just starts, okay, this is different, this is different, this is different. So in order to like keep up, you have to really be deep in the community to always see these ninja changes. I think I get someone almost once a week going, "Oh, I thought this ship was the fastest," and I go, "No, that was actually like 8 months ago." Yeah, so now it's actually the Merlin, which yeah, so you came between those. Like, what's the big difference, Jacqueline, do you think between these flight models from that patch right before CitizenCon?
I think the arrow grip definitely feels a bit harder to keep. And what I mean by the arrow grip, it means that when I'm pushing forward on the throttle on the ship and I pitch up, the TVI is much harder to bring with the ship. I noticed in 3. In 24.1, if you like full sended, the TVI was not very, but it was quite snappy to come with the nose of the ship. Whereas with 24.2, it's just slightly more draggy. So the changes that I felt between 24.1 and 2 aren't that big, but they were noticeable enough that on tracks like Snake Pit, which we have been practicing for the division racing coming up, um, some turns that I used to take with a very specific pitch angle, I had to change just because I felt like I was overshooting the turns way more than I wasn't when I practiced in 24.1.
Yeah, it's certainly more floaty. You have to push a lot harder. I mean,
Yeah,
uh, it's been uh, it's been an adjustment. It's funny when you talk when you talk to anyone who's was even a high level racer prior to this, and they're jumping right back in now. It takes a while to adjust to this new model.
definitely. And you mentioned the meta keeps shifting. Um, One thing that is almost always the case in XGR races, or any kind of races, even the inter atmosphere, is that we never get to use the meta ship. Do you think that the reason for that is that the meta ship is just too fast, or is it that it's too overused? Because you mentioned right now the current meta ship is the P52, the Merlin, um, but it's the fastest over single lap pace, right? Because it is a snub ship, so it's still limited to SCM if you're not boosting, and there's only so much you can boost. So you're definitely not gonna make a 6 to 10 lap race with the Merlin, because at some point or another you will run out of boost and just come down to that SCM speed.
Yeah, I
I
think
think Oh, sorry, you
Okay.
got it, Pillboy.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think that's the Merlin, or I guess the Kruger ships in general have been the meta quite a few times and for long periods of time. And in general, they're so fast and so difficult to fly just because of how precise you need those lines to be to get through a lot of the tracks. It just doesn't usually make for great racing. It just doesn't it just the races end up farther apart because the speeds are higher, and usually they have super high atmo grips, so they're gripping so hard that you're just not able to see other racers when you're in turns and stuff. And in general, just those slower ships just can be more fun and more accessible for more people to race. Just mainly the accessibility, I think, is probably the biggest point. Is it's easier to hop in whatever 100i or something, and just take your time through the track and be nice and drifty. Is a little bit different. This is more I'm talking about historically. As we've come on to this newer flight model, it has changed things a little bit. I think with some of those off meta ships. Right now, the P52, or sorry, the M50 and the Razor are the two of the most popular ships, I'd say, just because they're really fast and they have really good aero grip. And then there's obviously the metas, which are both the P72 and the P52. But outside of those ships, there's not really anything else that even comes close. So when you try to get into something like 100i, like we used to, it does become a lot harder to fly because they have almost no aero grip whatsoever. So they're a lot driftier. So yeah, I think that right now, flying the meta ships is becoming more popular. But we are, yeah, we're going between sort of a weird period where it's just becoming difficult to fly some of those non-meta ships.
So you think
I
the
think
uh, sorry, Darren, go ahead.
no, you're good. I think one of the things with the P52 as well is and I find this a complaint, especially Bull Talk hates this about it, is that um it's like very stop and go. Like when you're boosting, it's very fast. You're faster than any other ship, but as soon as you lose boost, it feels like you just got slammed on the brakes and have to slow down a ton, and it doesn't feel natural. So I think that's makes something like the P52 more
Yeah, I'd
difficult
agree
for
with
people
that. Yeah.
to want to fly. And yeah, I mean, please control surfaces. Let's get them soon
Oh yeah.
because there's very little grip in any ships. And even when you talk about aero grip, as people get into racing, they are always surprised, like, oh, I didn't realize this was a thing. And it's like, yeah, it is. It's just not
There's only
very
like 3 ships that
pronounced.
actually have it. So yeah,
Yeah, exactly. And as racers, we get way into the minutia of flight model in a different way than like PvP does or anything like that. So a lot of this isn't like common knowledge amongst SE community.
Yeah. And Bilbo, you mentioned that one of the things that probably the meta ship isn't really used for racing is because of just how fast they actually go, and it makes racing just a min-maxing kind of game, right? So everybody's just blazing fast, and you rarely get any side by side action, and you never get to see any screen, anything on your screen aside from a nameplate, right? But if we look back a bit to 323, the changes to all of the chips, but more specifically to the M50, they turned that thing into an absolute rocket. Uh, it's just way
yeah.
too fast. Like you
I
could
think that's
argue
still
like that's
the
that's what it should be, right? But I think it was way too fast.
that's still the fastest ship I think we've ever had in the game by a
Yeah,
lot. Like I think that's set the fastest lap times of anything we've ever had.
oh, yeah, it was
It was
absolutely
so fun.
crazy.
It's so funny reading on Spectrum or Reddit, and everyone's like, "Master mode's just gonna kill racing. There's gonna be no more speed to it. Everything's gonna be so slow." And
It
it's like this
just
commonly talked about like master modes killed racing. I swear,
Yeah.
every master mode's feedback, there's a point that says, "And racing's too slow now." And I'm like, guys, you
have you
gotta
turned on
racing is
nav mode?
faster than it's ever
Yeah,
been.
yeah, yeah.
It is ridiculous, and I'm a huge proponent, and I talk about all the time that we should be slowing down the speeds. I think it's too fast for racing. Like I like the slower speeds give more interest in racing. More people just survive, so there's more
Yeah.
strategy to it than there is now. We're just try to win and be alive. Um, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's all over the places, but it's fun. It's still fun. I think it's pretty fast.
Yeah, like when we got that M50 that was just absurdly fast in 323. I liked it. I thought it was fun. It was really difficult to fly, but when you could tame it, it was really satisfying to get just a wicked time trial out of it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But going and actually trying to for 10 laps around an actual race, I don't think that you just wouldn't get very many finishers. It's just way too difficult to fly. It was gonna even the top pilots are struggling with the thing.
Oh yeah.
So getting a full grid of pilots, you can actually bring that thing around the track 10 times in a row. It's just not going to happen on most tracks except for the really easy ones.
Yeah, in fact, I think one of the only races that happened in 323 with the M50 was in Skyscraper of all places, and I think it was just DNF after DNF, except for Boltok and Ordito just constantly swapping places. Right? It was just so impossibly difficult to control the M50 as it is, and then to put it on a track of, like Skyscraper,
That's
so
one of the hardest
tight,
out
and
there.
it was
Yeah, I saw that on the schedule and went, nah, I'm okay. I don't think I'm doing this one. I'm taking a break.
yeah, that was absolutely crazy. Um, but building off of what you said again, Dirk, the slower speeds that came then with 324 was drastic. Like coming out of the speeds that we had in 323 and then getting that insane speed drop in 324. I personally didn't mind it because yes, the times were slower. We went from, I believe it was, I don't know if it was a 49-second lap on Lorville to like close to a minute lap on Lorville. So
Yeah,
it was
Something
quite a
like that.
drastic change. But at the
yeah.
same time,
Snake Pit was going for 25-second laps or something like
yes, that
that. It was
was
ridiculous.
mad.
It was like, oh, we got the first sub 30, and then oh my goodness, it's going faster.
Going.
It's how fast can I mean,
Yeah.
if we had more time, someone might have pushed down to like a 23. It was ridiculous. There's still
Yeah.
time to be gained.
I remember actually me and you were labbing out Icebreaker back in 322. And then 323 came
Yeah.
out and just we were fighting for those milliseconds to break that 57-second time. And then when 323
Yeah.
came out, everyone was like on 54, 55 seconds. And like, jeez.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. This is easy now. Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
But going back to it, the racing actually really benefited from the slower speeds because I think racing ships are still the fastest ships in the game. So if everything's slower, but the racing ships are still the fastest racers, okay, the screen's coming at you slower, but you're still going pretty fast. I mean, even the slow speeds that we have now are still really fast if you think about them. But the racing got super close. You can stick to someone's, you know, ship really closely now. So
Right
if
to
I,
the rear. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
was gonna say you can stick it to someone's feet really quick. But
Yeah, I think that's a huge benefit to racing is when you can actually see the ship you're following
oh, yeah.
right in front of you there, and
Adds
you're
to
not
the
just looking at
tension
a
too. I mean, the fact that you
yeah,
can see
not
them.
just looking at a party marker, and you're
Yeah,
actually looking at the physical ship right there, and you can be within 200, 100 meters of them for multiple turns through a race. Is a lot more fun than just trying to watch a party marker, and then all of a sudden, if they make a small mistake, you're gaining on them way too fast to make a reaction. It gets a little too much.
yeah. I think one thing that probably Star Citizen, I'm gonna say struggles with, but I'm not sure if that's the right word. But I'm just gonna use it anyway. Struggles with is the sense of scale from inside the cockpit, because your point of view kind of scales with the cockpit size. So whether you're in a small ship or a large ship, you almost always get the same kind of FOV. So ships just tend to look really tiny unless you really get up
Mhm.
close to them, right? So when you are racing at those speeds, the tracks, if you go through the track really slow, it's super wide. But when you're
Yeah.
racing at them, it just feels like this, right? You have no room for error, and it's just one place that you can go. So having everything slowed down means that you have time to react, you have time to alter your lines, and you have time to be able to see what the guy in front of you is doing or behind you, and have that kind of freedom of movement. So I think it's a good change overall. And yeah, master modes, in my opinion, did not kill racing, but obviously the flight model tweaking have made things difficult every now and then. But that's
Yeah, I think at
the
the end of the day, it's not necessarily that master mode is really the thing that's affecting how racing is going to be. It's more the tunings
yeah,
of all the ships, and just
definitely.
Yeah.
they just need to make all the ships just feel good to fly in
Yep.
atmosphere. Which some of them
I
are
mean, just
awesome,
make
like the
everything
Gladius
feel
and
like
the
the
Razor
Gladius.
feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. The Gladius is since Master Modes, the Gladius has been the one ship that just feels incredible. Everything else has been a toss up, and it changes every
Yeah.
patch. And Right now, the Razor feels pretty good. The M50 is a little bit on the edge of feeling good. It's kind of really, really difficult to fly, but
You
Yeah, the
gotta
M50 is
really
just a
know
wild horse.
it's
yeah, the
crazy, man.
the TVI below crosshair, little tip to everyone watching. If you don't know, the M50 does feel insane, and oh my goodness, how am I controlling this? The TVI, which is the pilot velocity indicator, which is showing which way you're going. If it's right below the crosshair, like here's the crosshair, here's the TVI. When you roll, it won't buck all over the place. But if it's like even, or if the TVI is above it, and every time you roll, the ship will just buck all over. You'll lose all control, and that's usually where people go. I don't understand how you control this thing. It's uncontrollable. So that's it. That's the only thing you need to know.
Yeah, it's almost always the comment that you hear with people flying the M50s, like, "How the hell do you make this turn? I keep losing control all the time." Yes, but you know,
Yeah.
when you join the racing community, you start to learn all of these tricks, and it just makes learning to fly in general. I mean, you don't even have to join the racing community to race. If you can just spectate, you don't have to participate. But just being around the racing community, you really learn how to fly the ships. You know, like you will get full control of your ship, and just makes your time playing Star Citizen just way more immersive because you know what
Yep.
you have to do at all times. It's really awesome.
What do you guys think about the Saber Peregrine?
I
How do
was
you feel
just
about it
about to
now?
say that actually.
Yeah.
I was gonna say like the proof that master modes is not what's gonna kill racing is the Saber Peregrine, right? Because they said, you know what, we don't want to balance you for combat, so no weapons, just engines and shields. That's all you get. So we can balance you separately, which I think is a very very good approach going forward. Because at the end of the day, yes, we have combat races and stuff, but having dedicated racing ships that don't even have hard points just makes everything so much easier. Because the whole point of master modes is like to balance combat, right? But we don't care about that as racers. We just want to go fast. So just give us a ship that all it does is go fast. Um, Having
Yeah,
said
and it's
that,
easy to
though,
turn.
the Saber Peregrine has absolutely no flight model attached to it whatsoever. It's just floating in space at all times. You
It's the
can
OG
fly it
Fury.
however you want. Yeah, it's the OG
Yeah.
Fury.
Which is interesting because usually those are the kind of ships that racers aren't a huge fan of. Are the ones that have no flight model of any kind and they just feel like zero G when they're in Atmo. But yeah, somehow they managed to make the Peregrine feel good. It's a lot of it's because of how strong its main thrusters are. So it
Hmm.
just feels just kind of it just the power when you get around a turn and then punch it and it pulls you through so easily without even trying
Oh
it.
yeah, you could turn and burn like nothing with that ship. But it also
Yeah.
shows that control surfaces are really important to the flight tuning that they're heading towards. Because yes, it has strong mains, but if you try to pitch with the Saber Peregrine, it just doesn't react. It literally feels
Yeah.
like it's in zero G, even in Atmo. So it looks like it's waiting for control surfaces to help it be able to go up.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I bought it. I pledged it when it came out, and I had a lot of fun flying it. I had fun in the Anzia race event where I think Jacqueline, did you do well in that one, or were you not at that one? Yeah, you did like second
Yeah,
place, didn't you?
I got second place. Yeah,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, if it was, and yeah, it was that was an that was a Sangos Luna sweep, baby. That was Jacqueline
yeah.
first, no,
No,
Fresh
Fresh
first,
was first, then
Jacqueline
it's me,
second,
then Jelly.
and then Jelly in third place. That was pretty. That felt good. I biffed it in like the second lap, and then came like 10th, I think, or something like that. Which
Yeah,
is I did
you
okay, but
crashed just in front of me. I had to react
yeah.
so quick just to not hit your debris. It was crazy.
Yeah, but you did good. But that was the Saber Peregrine is a great ship. And you know, I don't know if you guys have noticed this. The Fury is back to feeling also like that. It's back to being like it's probably a really great camera ship again because it can fly sideways like it used to.
A little too slow
So
still since it's a snub, but
yeah,
Yeah,
because it's still a snub, so that kind
doesn't
of
have
sucks
the
for that
same kind
part.
of boost speeds that the Merlin and the Archimedes have, unfortunately. Because,
Yeah.
but you know,
yeah.
still good
My
as a
my
camera
God,
ship.
the 350R and the Gamma need some love though.
Oh
Yeah.
They've
yeah,
been
please, those poor
they've been just
things.
Oh,
so unflyable
yeah.
They're
for
just
pretty
they're
much the
just too
entirety of matchups.
slow. Like if they
Yeah.
just brought up the speed, I wish everything had like a baseline around say the Razor or something, and then you just tuned them a little slower, a little faster after
Well,
that.
and their
Like
ability to make turns, they just can't do it. Is a
yeah,
lot of it because their top speeds are. I mean, the Gamma's really slow. The 350R is not too bad, but it doesn't corner at all.
The
It
Gam also
it
have
it's
bugged boost tank, right?
Yeah, the game is messed up. There's something
The
wrong with the
Gamma's
game.
always bugged. I lost Crux Cup first place because of the Gamma's fuel.
The
Sometimes
scoop,
apparently
yeah.
the fuel scoop works, sometimes it doesn't. And
Oh.
I was warned of this. Smith, if he hears this, is gonna be like, "I told you so," and yeah, he did. And I had timed it that I could survive when I gave a low boost warning. I could still finish one more lap, and I'm not coming into the Crux Cup, which is an endurance race. Finish as many laps as you can. I'm coming into the finish line about to finish a lap. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go land and refuel after this, and I just nosedived like right in front of it, right behind it. Sorry, I didn't even get the cross. I was like, no. Yeah.
You had a very good, team strategy call there as well, because you were just behind Fresh at the time, I think, or just ahead of Fresh, and I think the team made the call to make sure that he doesn't overtake you, just so he lets you get that one extra lap in, so you can
Yeah.
make that
Shh,
fight
you're
for.
giving away our secrets, Jack, and
Ah,
these are the secrets that I'm kidding. I
no,
love
no,
to
but
share. I would share it after a race win all the time. I'll tell people how we beat you.
yeah, but that's my point to that was just the team play that comes in these kinds of large events. It really makes being a part of a team feel really good when entering these
Yeah.
races. I mean, we at this point we've done a lot of these team events that Ansia come up with, and all the time the coordination that happens in the team is just it really makes being in a team something special in Star Citizen, especially in the racing scene. So
Yep. I want
Speaking
more.
of team
Everyone.
events,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
we got a
Yeah.
big race coming up soon. And
come again. Sorry, I missed that.
speaking of team events, we've got a big race coming up soon, and it seems like it's going to be quite the
Oh
Black
yeah.
Star Sangus Luna showdown. It's one of like
I,
60% of the
yeah.
racers signed up are from. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Well,
think.
so there's a 32 pilot max, and I think we're completely full. How
And there's a
many
waiting list.
does Blackstar have signed up? Yeah, there's a wait list too. What do you
I
have for Blackstar now?
think six, 5 or
6?
6. Yeah, I think you guys have 8, right?
Let me. Yeah, we have 8, and then I think how many Blackstars that I know? There's 1, 2,
Me,
3,
Five,
4. You have 5 or
Playing
6.
Fox.
5 or 6, yeah. Sorry,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have the list pulled up on the side here. Yeah, but
yeah.
what
Yeah,
we're talking about, for those who might not be aware, is the XGR division race. This is the ranked racing community racing that XGR hosts. Billboy and Dirk, do you want to give a bit of a brief background on it? Because you competed in it last year, so I was
yeah.
not a part of that, so you're probably more qualified to talk about it.
We both got those. So what XGR does is if you hit a pro license, I don't know if they're doing it this year. I think it's doing a little bit different. But
Doing
what
it
it used to
differently,
be,
yeah.
yeah, you get a pro license in their divisions racing series, and then you would get a veteran badge. And Billboy and I are one of only, what was it, 5 pilots that got
That's a lot, yeah.
2953 veteran badge. So there wasn't a lot. It was a lot of fun. I would call it the pinnacle as far as total like highest skill level racing. I don't know about you, Billboy. I don't think there's
Oh
any
yeah, I mean
event
it's
that has.
as far as the amount of racers and the amount of racers who are really competitive and fast, it's usually about as good as it gets. I mean,
Yeah.
mo- all the best racers end up in XGR for the majority of their racing, and they'll float around to other events and stuff. But yeah, when XGR decides to host official events, that's what brings everybody out to race in those, because they have big prizes, and they've got just I mean, even better is just the racing is just way more fun
Yeah,
when you've
Yep.
got that
all the
many good
stakes,
pilots.
and it's nice that they also it starts off with heat with everybody just going crazy on the track, but then you actually get put into a group that I guess you belong in, right? If you perform well in the heats, you can go into the pros. If not, you still got a second chance in the amateur racing, and if you win the amateur racing, you get promoted to the pro racing, and then you can fight for a pro license there. So it just really
Yeah.
builds up that hype, you gotta stay focused, and it is the pinnacle of competitive racing in Star Citizen. I mean, if you guys want to look at the how they laid it out last year, XGR has all of the vaults of the division racing on their YouTube channel. um this year they did say that they were going to do things slightly different, so it's exciting to see things changing. um but when you see the names on the roster for who's competing, it's yeah, you really need
It's
to be on
nasty.
your A game for this one.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even. I don't think I put myself in the top 10 of this list, and I like to think that I'm a pretty good pilot, but it's tough. And I mean, yeah, they split it up. I don't know if we've mentioned that talking about the amateur and the pro races. A core of the division racing is basically a student or a rookie license and an amateur license and a pro license. The idea being these pro races are filled with racers that are of the highest level, and it's a lot more of actually just passing and less of, when there's it's great to fly with a lot of people, but when there's a lot of people and there's of varying skill levels, it makes things unpredictable and hard to fly around safely. So in those pro races, you get to really have high level fun competition.
Yeah, but I think we're gonna have probably the top 10 guys once we get to those final main main racing event or whatever, the main heats or main races, whatever they are.
The pros, yeah.
Yeah, the pro races. Pretty much every single one who probably makes it there is going to be within a second or two of each other's lap times. So it's not going to spread out all that quick. It's going to be very based around who can be consistent and who can maybe make the least mistakes and take advantage of other people's mistakes and get around them, because overtaking is not going to be easy. It's going to be exciting.
Yeah, this is gonna be hard because I think, given the practices that have been happening with XGR and stuff, I think in terms of lap times, everyone is around, or at least the guys at the top, they're all pretty much around the same times. So it all comes down to, I guess, where you start off in the heats, because I believe the heats are going to be random grid. So it does come down to where you start in the heat, how well can you make those overtakes with as little mistakes as possible, and yeah, just I think the racecraft is going to be way more important than the lap time. So it'll be
And
a
the luck.
very interesting watch.
It's always luck. It's always luck in a
Yeah,
race.
There's gonna be some
Yeah.
luck involved. It's just gonna be chaos, and whoever comes out of the chaos alive at the end of the heat's gonna do the best. So it's gonna be
Yeah. Did we
really
mention
good
it?
fun.
Snake Pit Razors? I think
yeah,
we might
Yeah.
have, but yeah, it's gonna be at the Snake Pit in Razors, which is it's an iconic combination. Billboy and I came up doing that. That's how we learned. We were in there for, like, some of the same classes learning and racing, the two of us, and there's playing Fox and Flip a Dip. Gotta get Flip a Dip back in here, Tell him
Yeah.
tell him to come back.
Yeah, the Snake Pit is one of the hardest tracks there is, and it's one of the most visually appealing. It's super narrow, looks super cool, and it always has really good racing.
I
It's
think it's
just
this
a
the
really
second.
good technical track.
I think it's the second track that scares me the most, just because of how focused you gotta be to
Yeah.
Hmm.
properly race it. I think nothing beats Skyscraper for me. I think that's probably the scariest track because you really have to nail those turns. Snake
Hmm.
Pit comes close, but it does allow you to fly safely should you choose to do so. But flying the fast lines, you really have to commit to the turn. So it gets, you get the blood pumping as you're going through that. But having to do like 10 plus laps on it, it's rough. And also, because of the
Yeah.
fact that Snake Pit is such a short track, I wouldn't even go as far in saying that pole position will be that important, because if you have 16 razors on a track and you start at pole position with clean air and just get a really fast line, you're just gonna have to go
It,
through all the
it
back markers. So
it's
Yeah,
true.
yeah,
If
you
they
will.
survive the
yeah,
first
yeah, yeah.
lap.
If they survive the first
Which,
lap, but you got a whole line of back markers to go
yeah,
through.
Yeah, yeah.
from the
Well,
racing
I'm saying if the back
together.
markers survive the
Oh
first
yeah,
lap,
okay, yeah.
there might not be any back markers left by the time you get around
Yeah,
to it.
by the
I,
first three
I
turns.
I gotta say, man, I've been very impressed though doing the flying together stuff with XGR, which is their like school thing. I've been very impressed with even the newest pilots being able to survive. Like, it's becoming a much more common skill is actually surviving these laps. It used
Yeah.
to be no one would make it through any laps.
Hmm.
So I think it's gonna be great. I think it'll be a lot of
I think
fun.
there's
Do you
gonna be someone who
guys?
has a really good result from just they're not gonna be someone who's really known, but they're just gonna survive every single heat, and they're gonna
Yeah,
get some good points out of it, and it's gonna do good for them.
they're gonna do great. Do you guys have a prediction for podium? I want to hear everyone's top three in no particular order, just their podium, who they think is going to be there.
Man, that's narrowing it down too much, I think. If I can
You
get
got
To be
there.
top
honest.
five? Can you do a top five?
No, let's do podium. Let's do podium.
Okay, okay. You go, Billboy. Let's go. What do you think?
Oh, I gotta do it first. Let me look at this list again. Who
He's saying
else?
himself for first. That's my
I think
prediction.
you can
Billboy's gonna
already
say he's gonna win.
say two
No,
out of
no,
five at
no.
least. I think it's
Yeah,
Yeah.
two of the three, I think, are almost locked. Well, I don't want to say locked,
Yeah,
but that knowing, yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think Fresh is gonna be up there in the top three for sure. He's
yeah,
been, I mean, ever since he really kind of hit that top tier pilot kind of level, he's just not stopped. he
yeah.
just he
yeah,
just keeps on grinding.
Just
I feel like a lot of people will get really good and then they'll take a little break and they'll come back. That's kind of where I am right now. I kind of took a little time away and then now
yeah.
I'm coming back. So we'll see how things go. I haven't raced in a little while, but yeah, Fresh has been for like a year straight, been at the top of his game and only getting better. And I think he's got a really good shot to win it. Um, and then I feel like it's pretty much impossible to count out Boltok. Um, we never really know what's going on with him because he's French. He doesn't speak great English, so he's
Yeah.
not hanging out with us as much. But he shows up to a lot of races and sometimes absolutely dominates. Sometimes he's not quite as practiced, but he still does really, really well because he's just that good of a pilot. Uh, but I feel like there's no way he's not going to be at least as fast as everyone else. He's either going
Yeah,
to
you have the
be
same
as
speed.
fast as everyone else or faster. He's never going to be slower than anyone. Like he's
Oh,
going to
I
be
definitely
he's
think
going
he's
to
gonna
be
be faster. I think Boltok. I think Fresh and Boltok are definitely the top two pilots currently in
yeah,
the
pace
whole
wise,
racing
yeah,
community. Um,
Yeah,
absolutely, yeah.
but one of the things that Boltok can do so consistently is that I think he is the best racer at locking that TVI whenever he needs to. Like
Yeah.
Fresh
He
is an
his
oh, it's
amazing
so
racer.
smooth.
He is an
yeah,
amazing
yeah.
time trial, but I think Boltok has the TVI management and the boost management nailed to a T.
He's
Yeah,
So
been doing that since before we even called that like the meta.
he basically invented it, yeah.
Crazy. He's insanely. Anyone doesn't know we're talking about TVI management? It's keeping the TVI, those two little chevrons, right dead center on your crosshair. Like the smallest millimeter off, you will lose tens to fifties to hundreds of meters per second. And it's like even the slightest deviation, and Boltok has it dialed in
Yeah.
right on the crosshair, like 100% of the race. It is ridiculous. I've never seen better management.
I remember like going back to 322 again, but everyone was fighting at like the 57-second mark on Icebreaker, and everybody's fighting
Yeah,
for those milliseconds at 57.
Yeah. Yeah.
Boltok just comes in and does a 56.4, and no one can
yeah.
even break the 56 mark
We
at
gotta
all. He just comes in casually, sets a time that's 8 tenths quicker than everyone else, and no one can reach it.
I remember the Black Star Underground race from about a year ago now. A lot of people put a lot of time into practicing for that race, and we were usually all in the chats together, and we were on track at the same time, and everyone was practicing, and that one, the time trial time was what qualified you for the race and got you a grid spot, and everyone was really fighting for those grid spots because they're super valuable, and Bulltalk was nowhere to be seen, and all of a sudden he like chimes up in chat. He's like, does this end tomorrow or tonight? And we were like, tonight. And he's like, oh shoot. And then he just goes and posts the fastest time.
Oh,
just
it's just
beats us all by
crazy,
half a
man.
second or something. It was absurd. Just nobody was ready for it. He's always,
Yeah.
he's just always there, and he's always one of the fastest.
You got to predict your
Yeah.
third, Bill
So
boy.
yeah, I
You've
think my
got
third.
Fresh and
I'm
Bull Talk.
my third. I'm between who was it? I gotta look at the list again. I'm blanking on everyone's names all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think
Um,
at Fresh's rise of like hitting that top level, I forgot I was going to mention. I don't want to take any credit for it because it's all his work. But I picked him up when as he was like making the rise up. I was like, hey, dude, come join Sang with Luna. You know, we'll sponsor you, buy whatever you need, and support you. And we were looking at some of his runs, and I remember I showed him a few things like about turn theory, basically like apexes, about some things about how far you should roll and stuff, like minor things that, well, not necessarily minor, but they're you call them like high level racing ideas, that were taught to us, Bill Boy and I both, by like Shaq right? Like
yeah, yeah,
he's the original teacher of all this, and these are things I showed those to him. He went, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I'm not kidding you. Like the next day, he starts posting some of the fastest times, and I'm like, oh okay, all right, this guy's it.
yeah,
And he's been just a monster. He's been doing so
yeah.
well.
There's been a lot of people who've showed up like that who just yeah are shown how to do it and adapt instantly, and they all of a sudden are one of the top guys. But I think I've got my I'm between Jellyhead and Ordito.
Oh
I
yeah,
yeah
dude.
I think I mean
I don't need to
Identical
say my top three.
predictions.
You have them the exact same.
Yeah,
I am the
really
same.
exact
really
same.
okay
Yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. I feel like Jellyhead and Ordito have both been grinding really hard the last like whatever month.
Yeah, they've been
Well,
fighting
Jelly
on the
too.
on the
Yeah,
leaderboards definitely.
Yeah, that too. That too. Yeah, they've been posting time trials like crazy as well, and that's all they've spent any of their time doing the last month or so is
yeah.
grinding grinding Snake Pit and then grinding just racing in general.
For anyone who doesn't know, Ordito is a Black Star guy, so that's under
Yeah, yeah,
Billboy's tutelage. He's taught him to be one of the best. Jellyhead is a jacketed recruit to Sangos Luna, so that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
But and Jelly and Fresh have been racing a lot together, and they've been practicing a lot together. And I think Fresh sent me a DM not too long ago, something along the lines of, "Man, Jelly's really fast. Like
Oh,
he's
jellies.
he's really pushing me right now." And I was like, "Yeah, let's go. This is awesome."
Yeah,
Yeah,
when
yeah,
I
it's gonna be
first,
interesting. Right?
sorry, go ahead, Boy.
Oh yeah. I was just to finish up. It's gonna be really interesting between those two. I feel like Ordito and Jellyhead are both kind of they've got incredible pace,
Yeah,
but they're both kind of newer as far as actual racing experience. So that's usually one of the biggest factors. Is sometimes guys can be one of the fastest in time trials or yeah, just their general pace, and it's really easy over the course of an entire race, even if they win a heat or two,
yeah.
to just not be able to stay consistent because that's just so difficult.
There's a lot of racers that are like that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna call out names on this one because it's
Hmm.
but there's a lot. I feel like
Yeah,
I'm one of them a lot of the time that I can get the pace, but then I can't get the consistency. So it takes a while, man. It like I tell people when we get them on our team, like one of your priorities should be joining as many races as you can and getting used to the nerves because you'll never get completely used to them, but you have to get like level so that when you get in starting a race, you're not just like shaking as you're about to take off.
yeah. But I'm gonna lock it in. I'm gonna say Fresh, Bull Talk, Ordito, my top three.
All
I
right.
mean, I'm saying Jelly. I gotta put Jelly as
Yeah,
my
yeah,
third,
yeah.
but I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think mine were identical. I mean, it's Fresh and Bull Talk is definitely the safest picks, and then it's between Ordito and Jelly. I mean, as you say, these guys are just amazing time trialers. Then there's also the difference that when you're so used to being on the track alone and practicing the best lines, it can throw you off when you have somebody that you're racing against that is on your same level, and you have to share the track, right? If you're both on the exact same
Yeah,
line, something has to give. So,
Yeah.
um,
And even if you're not running into the other racer on the track, just sometimes just looking at their trail coming off their ship or just
oh
focusing
yeah,
on them for just a
just
split second.
blind.
Well, even if you're not blind and you're just focusing on them for a split second, like, oh, are they going wide this turn? Can I all of a sudden, if you just think for a little bit too long, you've missed your turn in point and you're going to the wall.
yep.
Today we were practicing and I was right behind Jelly and Fresh going like in the first few laps going into turns, and the
Mhm.
two of them, their two plumes filled up the entire line. I'm like, there's nowhere I can go where I can see, so I'm like flying off a field at this point and trying to, but it's gonna be crazy, man. It's gonna be hard. I do have a couple dark horses. One guy that I want to shout out because I've heard he's been recruited to a team is Soup One. He's been recruited to HLN, I've heard
Oh,
from
nice, awesome.
by Emu. Yeah, so
That's
that's
great.
really
That's good.
cool.
I wanted him to end up there. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah, and I think so. I think he's gotta be one of my dark horses. I put him, Dude 3D. Just looking down here, Colbosa, Plain Fox. Well, Plain Fox, I would say is probably faster than them, but those three are still like a dark horse. I mean, Dude 3D actually, he just throws up time. Have you seen some of his time trials he throws up? They're crazy.
Yeah, he's
He
gotten
just
really
puts up
fast
the
now. Yeah,
fastest.
is
And
he
Dude
still mouse
3D
Yeah.
keyboard or do you
loves the
still
razor.
is?
So the fact
He
that
has sticks,
this
right?
snake bit on the razor, it come
I
again.
don't know if
Dude 3D's on
I don't know if
sticks.
he's on sticks. I
Is
don't
Mm,
he on
know.
sticks? Okay,
I don't know.
I wasn't sure.
I'd have to ask because
Yeah.
yeah, he was a mouse keyboard for a while, right?
He was, I think for a little while. So
Yes.
maybe that's when he started getting. Because yeah, I remember he was decent for quite a while, but yeah, all of a sudden he's been really, really good. I wasn't sure if it's just because he's been grinding harder, if he got sticks or something or what. But yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
he's a good pick as someone to do well who might yeah, if they can be consistent. I mean, that's gonna be the whole game is just who can hop in there and have competitive pace, make it to those pro races, and then just
Yeah.
be consistent. Because
I gotta get in that pro race, man.
Oh yeah. I
I need
mean,
like I want it so bad. I
yeah, yeah,
really want that pro license, but that would be like
top
I think with the
six.
skill of pilot there, the beginning of pro license for me would be like winning the whole event. Like that.
right.
Like, I don't think I have a
Mhm.
well, I wouldn't say I don't have a chance, but because I think everyone I mean, I could go down guys who have a chance of winning just on being consistent, and if everyone else has a bad day, is like, I mean, Fresh is obviously, there's like Gerbo has a chance, Jelly, me, Ordito, you, Billboy,
And
Boba Bet,
newer guy on my team,
Jackson.
Charizard. Charizard,
Yeah, Charizard, yeah.
he learned most of his racing on Snake Pit, so he's pretty comfortable
That's
on this
true.
track.
Yeah,
And
this is
Yep.
like his track.
Yeah,
he's
he
pretty much as
loves.
fast as me, and Ordito, like pace wise. So it's if he's consistent, he's going to be really dangerous.
That's true, yeah.
He's going to be a surprise, I think, if he
Another
has a
surprise
good race.
from my team would be Liquid Prime. He's been practicing a
He's
lot
been
with
grinding it.
Fresh, and he's been coming up with a few practice strategies we're going to start using all the time that
Oh,
have been
nice.
really good. So
Cool.
yeah, if he gets out ahead early, he could hold it, and he doesn't quite have that full. I think
Okay.
the crazy pace is like 34 seconds, maybe 33. I don't think 33s.
Yeah, I think low 34s maybe if you really, really
Yeah, if you
use a lot
push
of
it and
boost.
use your boost,
You
yeah,
push
like
and use a lot of
crazy. So
boost.
I don't think it's worth
Yeah,
going for the 34s. I think 35s is probably the lap times that we're going to be seeing consistently
Yeah.
being run.
I could see
but
someone
Liquid can
running high
do.
34s or something
Yeah.
Yeah,
if
but
they're
Liquid can
really
do 36s, right? And that's not
yeah.
far off. And if you're doing that consistently, lap after lap, it's really hard to pass someone. You just can't make any major mistakes, and
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
won't be able to pass.
Yeah. And then I think one other person who I think has a really good shot of doing very well is Phobabet, who doesn't come to every race. He's every once in a while he'll hop in and do some races in XGR, and he's been around for a while, but all of a
Yeah,
sudden he's back and he posted a really good time trial. So I think he has a
He's been a
he
lot
looks like
more
he has the
active
pace.
recently, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah,
recently all of a sudden he's racing a
yeah.
lot. So
My first experience with Phobabet was he absolutely murdered me at the what was it, the first division
I've
race, that Yadar.
yeah, yeah.
He absolutely murdered me in like the first heat or something like that, and I was like, you. I was getting so mad, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think
yeah.
every racer is just taking someone out at some point in their
You
career.
take
It
someone out,
happens.
you get taken out. It's like part
Yeah,
of
it just happens.
the rite of passage is that you have to get absolutely destroyed by someone that's
Mhm.
not your fault, and then you have to absolutely destroy someone the next lap. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be one hell of an event, honestly. So
Pretty
definitely,
great.
guys, if you want to check that out, make sure that you're following the Extreme G Racing Twitch channel on on Twitch. The event is going to be on the 16th of November, I believe. That is this or yeah, this
Yep.
Saturday, next Saturday. At what time? I think it's
Uh,
10 p.m. UTC.
yeah. For us Americans, it is 2:30 p.m. Pacific.
And then Eastern, it's 5:30.
Yeah.
Where I'm at. Yeah.
All right, there you have it. All right. I think that's about all the time we have today. Do you guys want to have any closing statements?
Everyone just, I hope everyone, if anyone's watching this has not gotten into racing, you should just give it a try, or start watching, because the broadcasts and the entertainment value is huge, and I think it's really deep, and there's a lot to learn about, and it's a lot of fun. Even if you're not competing near the top, I mean, it's been fun just like running a team and teaching people versus trying to focus on competing. There's a lot to do. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this is the time more now than ever to get into racing. It's growing so fast every year. I mean, XGR only started like 2.5 years ago or something, and it's grown to what it is now, and it's I feel like it's got a good future, and now's the time to jump in if you want to be a part of it because it's really fun right now.
Yeah, and if you're an org that doesn't have a team, start a team. I'm serious. You will find there's a lot of people that are into it. There's lots of like free agent pilots who don't have orgs. You know a
We
pilot
don't
who
know
doesn't
how to
have an
make money.
org?
We don't know how the game works.
We
We
don't
only
make
race.
money. We just race. It was the best thing I ever did was find an org to sponsor me, so I had to stop trying to learn how to mine because I
Yeah.
couldn't figure it out. It sucked. No, I'm kidding. Mining seems great. I just not my cup of tea. Like, but a free agent racer, if you're a French org, if you can convince him, someone try to take up Bull Talk. That guy doesn't even have an org, and he's like the
Yeah.
best. It's
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah. It's
crazy.
going to be important for them in the future with all this stuff coming out and with 1.0 and whatever. It's yeah. It's going to be
Especially,
interesting.
we need
It's going to
more
be fun.
teams to represent in
Yes.
racing, right? Because at the moment, I think, we have the Sanguis Luna versus Black Star kind of like fighting at the top kind of thing. There are more teams that are starting to come in, but, especially
Yeah.
when we eventually get the decals, we want to see people representing those
Yeah.
orgs and those racing teams. So We need more teams.
Yeah,
Get those
exciting,
teams built up, guys.
Yeah, do it, do it, do it. It's
exciting
great.
times
It's
as
so
we keep
much
moving.
fun.
Yeah, it just keeps growing, and we're moving forward in a good place.
It gives your guys something to watch. Like I can't tell you, we have so many people in San Luis Luna that have never tried racing, but they love when I send them the stream and they all sit in a voice chat together and watch it, cheer their guys on. It's like, yeah, it's great. It's like like college team sports basically.
Yeah, I think it's speaking on a personal level, it is one of the most rewarding experiences that you can have in a video game. I mean, aside from the fact that the rewards of the racing are actually just insane,
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just so
but Bill Boy, how
satisfying.
much money have you got? How much
Yeah,
money? What's in your
how much
here?
store
It's like
credit have you built from winning in
It's, o-
racing?
it's over $1,000 worth
So
of
there you go. You can win
prizes.
over $1,000 in
Yeah.
store credit, so you can get a free Polaris if you want.
yeah, exactly. Melt everything.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So
Oh, wait, what are the prizes? Do we know for the XGR race? Have they
I
have they put them anywhere?
M50, I think, is the winner. Gets an
no,
M50.
if I remember correctly, I think first place was a 400i pledge.
Oh, okay.
Second
Yeah, I'm gonna find it.
place was, I don't remember it. Was it a C1? I don't remember. Damn. I think I just remember the 400i for first place, and I think it was an M50 for third place. I just don't remember the second place one.
Oh, the pro winner gets an Origin 400i. The pro second place gets a 350R. The pro third
350R.
place gets an M50. The amateur winner gets a Fury LX, and there will be an audience prize as well. So go watch, because then you can get
Watch
thrown
if you
into
want to be in the
the
audience there.
raffle. The
Yeah.
audience prize is a 100i, so there you can get a free 100i just for watching and throwing your name in the bucket there. But yeah, it's really good. Like those prizes are crazy, man. A
Racing is
400i for
full of
winning that.
pledges.
How much money? What's that prize pool? A 400i is what, like almost $200?
It's like
$250,
350,
something like that. 240,
A
something like that.
350R is like 100 or something like that.
$125, yeah. And the M50 is
Yeah,
about $70.
100. It's 100.
That's $100. Oh,
M50
and
is
the
it's
100.
Fury
$100. Yeah, I
and the Fury LX is like $40 or $45 or something. So
think
it's
it's $60.
like
Yeah,
so we're like $600 prize pool. That's
insane.
it's crazy
Yep.
Yeah, it's
for something that like doesn't generate revenue. It's fun, but it doesn't generate revenue. Yeah.
I mean, thankfully, CIG support the community in that way. Like a lot of the times, the pledges are gifts from the community members themselves. But you have a lot of the racing also gets supported by CIG. They give XGR the ships to give away. So it's nice that the racing community is actually noticed by CIG, and it's, I'm not gonna say sponsored, but it's definitely encouraged by CIG, because at the end of the day, aside from the fact that we are populating the game, we're also, the racing community is one of the best communities to actually test out the ships because you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
we push them to their limits, so you definitely know what ships are performing and what are struggling. So
Yeah.
So join XGR, join
yeah,
racing. It's
definitely join
awesome.
XGR. I'm gonna
Get in
throw
there.
all the links of all the things mentioned in the
Join Anzia.
description below. Join
Yeah.
Ansia,
Anzia.
join XGR, join
Atmo.
SCR, join Atmo, join everything, and
Yeah.
subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the podcasts.
And everyone subscribe and like below and comment what your favorite part of the podcast was down below.
Yeah, comment if you want us to talk about anything else in the future. We're obviously gonna keep doing these, so let us know what you want us to talk about.
And what parts that we rambled on way too long about.
Oh yeah, I mean, this
Goal,
was our
the goal's
first
once a
episode,
month.
so
Yeah.
Yeah. The goal's once a month, I think, right now, right? That's
yeah,
what
we'll
we're
start
aiming
off with
for.
once a
So.
month, and we kind of give a highlight of what's happening in racing and Star Citizen over the month. And as you guys mentioned, Star Citizen racing is growing really, really fast, and there are so many things that are coming in 2025. It's surreal. Like I have a Google Calendar specifically for all the racing events happening, and it's a Christmas tree right now. There's so many racing events already being planned for 2025 that I'm struggling to find the time for anything else at this point. So yeah, something is definitely gonna have to give next year, but there's something for everyone. That's definitely gonna tickle your fancy. So definitely join those discords and join those events, because racing in Star Citizen is just amazing. So
Thanks for watching and listening, everybody.
yep. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. Like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and we'll catch you all later. Thank you so much.